Hi, I'm Shannon Rollins with Shannon Rollins Real Estate, and today I want to remind everybody that the National Association of Realtors Settlement has gone into effect and how it is impacting buyers, sellers, and agents. The new rules have gone into effect now, and our MLS systems here in the Augusta and Aiken areas and surrounding counties, we are now required to not include in the MLS any offer or compensation to a buyer agent for bringing an acceptable contract to a seller. So what that means now is that the buyer must sign a buyer agency agreement with their agent prior to seeing any home listed and address the 3 W's. What they're going to be paid, when they're going to be paid, and who is going to pay them. What they're going to be paid, how much. When they're going to be paid, are they going to be paid at closing, or is the buyer going to pay them prior to closing for showing them houses? And who's going to pay them? Are they going to pay them, or is the seller going to pay them? Buyer agents, it is critical. You must get this signed prior to showing houses. There are hefty fines if you do not get this signed prior to showing, and if you continue that practice, you could even lose access to the MLS. So buyers, you should really do your due diligence to select an agent that is going to work on your behalf. You need a full-time, professional, experienced agent that really knows what they're doing. And most buyers that are getting a loan do not have the additional funds to not only put their down payment down and to pay their closing costs that are related to getting the loan, but now additionally to pay a real estate fee. You cannot finance the real estate fee as part of your closing costs with a loan. You may want to work out with your agent that you only want to look at homes where sellers are still willing to pay that buyer agent fee on your behalf as the buyer. Sellers can still pay the fee. It's just not indicated in our system what they would pay. So now a buyer agent must reach out to the listing agent to say, if we were to bring an acceptable contract, would the seller be willing to pay the buyer agent fee? So now the listing agent is discussing with their sellers, probably at the time that they do the listing appointment, to say, what should I budget for having to pay a buyer agent to bring a buyer with an acceptable contract to my house? And they're probably going to talk about that and know up front what they're willing to do. A buyer agent does a lot for a seller up front. A buyer agent is getting a buyer pre-qualified. They're making sure they can actually buy. They're making sure that they can buy within the time frame a seller needs to sell the house. There's no sense in a buyer looking at a house they cannot afford to buy, or that they can't buy for a year from now when a seller really needs to sell now. So buyer agents are doing that work up front prior to even getting into a seller's house. A seller does not want a buyer in their house that is unrepresented and doesn't have a licensed professional there with them. Buyers, be selective of your agent. Get somebody you trust that's going to do a good job for you. Buyer agents, get that agency agreement signed prior to showing. If you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying, give us a call. My team and I are on standby 7 days a week, ready to help you take the smoother road to sold.